Hello, everybody. Adam Parks here with another episode of Receivables Roundtable. Today, I am here with my good friend and industry legend, Mr. Mark Naiman. How you doing today, Mark?
Doing pretty not bad, Adam. Thanks for having me on the show. Very
Absolutely. We're glad to be able to do a special release this week to talk about your new adventure. I'm sure that there's not a lot of people watching this particular podcast that are not familiar with you from one event or another, speaking engagements, past president of RMAI, all that fun stuff. But for anybody who hasn't, can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and how you got to the seat that you're in today?
Sure, Adam. Mark Naiman. I am the president of Absolute Resolutions Corporation, at least for the next couple of days, depending on when this airs. This company was co-founded with a partner of mine, Mike Dixon, and I over 20 years ago. And we took a very small debt buyer early in the ages, and that debt buyer, after many years, is now a multi-state national purchaser, probably one of the largest privately held debt purchasers in the United States. So over that 20 years, Adam, as you stated, been responsible for all aspects, and whether that's operational responsibilities down to what I like to call special projects divisions, always thinking outside of the box and making sure that this ever-changing industry, not just from a legislative perspective, but from a operational creativity perspective, is something that's always driven me personally. That's my background. That's what I do.
That's what you, and now you're on to a new adventure. And so let's talk about the new adventure and what are you up to these days?
So, for those that have been in the space and for those that have attended any of the conferences in the space, and I don't just mean CRS and DCS, which are my new adventures, but any of the trade shows, I think it's a unique opportunity for those that are in this space to have face-to-face interactions and, speaking a little more personally, having attended, having exhibited, having sponsored, having supported all of these trade shows for the last 20 years as a private business. It's something that speaks to me intimately on a personal level. I enjoy the interactions. I enjoy speaking. I enjoy being straightforward and exchanging ideas in that type of an environment. And so when the opportunity presented itself, Judy Hammond, Dennis Hammond, and the RMS team created multiple trade shows. For those that don't know, the Debt Buyers Association was created in part by the Hammonds and some of the initial leaders, and that became Receivables Management Association International. And once that went nonprofit and a trade association, in order to support legislative efforts and the needs of its members, the Hammonds went and started the CRS Conference, which is the Collections Recovery Solutions Conference, and the Debt Connection Symposium, DCS, and have run those shows successfully for the last 14, 15 years. Having the opportunity to take over those two shows gives me a very unique opportunity to really investigate some of the things that interest not just myself, but those in the space that have faced the challenges, not just on a legislative level, but on an operational level, whether it's difficulty in hiring employees, whether it's difficulty with network integrations or obsolescence of old software. As a deep-seated nerd, this gives me a unique opportunity to kind of really focus in on some of these new emerging markets, whether it's community banks, whether it's digital lenders, whether it's online marketplace lending. There is a whole vast variety of products that are entering into this market. And when you look at the, I'd say, overall length that the secondary market, the receivables management market, has been around, we're still in our infancy. And so I think that it's a unique time to start bringing people back together, having dealt with the challenges of the last 2 or 3 years of quarantines and a focus on making sure that the country doesn't put itself in a very bad, unrecoverable position. I think we're staged uniquely for a time where people are really looking to get back out there in a safe fashion, but still, I don't think there's a substitute for personal interaction.
There's no question about that. So from a CRS perspective, what I'm hearing is that the objective of that particular conference is to educate both the creditors and the industry on the emerging products. So looking at how the creditors exist and being able to educate them on debt sales, debt collection, litigation, right? Like, so the channels that they have available to them to recover past due funds, and then also to be educating the industry, right? The debt collection industry overall, receivables management space, on the new things that are happening from a per product basis. Does that sound about right?
That is right. And I think that's the biggest distinction between CRS and DCS.
Mm-hmm.
The CRS conference is really focused around the open exchange of information with a primarily focused on the originator, on the financial lender's perspective. And that's why we host pre-conference roundtables with our antitrust attorneys that allow information to be exchanged in a way that was not present in this space 15 years ago, Adam. And that's another thing that's really kind of driven me down this path, is that if you roll the clock back to my first few trade shows, most of the people were having conversations almost in a cloak and dagger fashion. They're hiding in a restaurant, they're hiding in a corner. And as time has gone on, as the legitimacy of the secondary market and the debt buying space has been legitimized, whether it's through CFPB notification, mentioning the certification program within their ANPR, these types of things give a real solid validity to this space. And so what the CRS tries to do is really bring as many originators together as possible so that there's that open exchange of information. No one's giving away secret sauce. That's not the intent. Sure. The intent is that we're all faced with similar challenges. And for those that have truly been in this space for a long period of time, it's not a monthly basis, it's a daily basis. And so whether it's legislation in Arizona, whether it's something that's changed in New York or California, being able to sit down at a table with other agency owners or law firms or other originating creditors and having that free flow exchange of information, to me, has been one of the most valuable differences and evolutions of this space in the last 10 years. And so CRS really tries to focus in on that. The focus is making sure that it is an invite-only conference. So that means that we try to keep the ratios of originating creditors to the vendors very even, so that it's not an overwhelming thing. And again, to us, it's more about the education and the networking experiences, making sure that those that are exhibitors and sponsors are supported in that group. And that's why we keep that group a little bit smaller and more intimate. DCS and Debt Connection Symposium has always been a more network-focused event for everyone. And so the ratios at that conference are not as tightly controlled as they are at CRS, but the difference is that we make sure that there's that differential experience. Oftentimes, these trade shows are over encumbered by, it's a workshop. At DCS, we try to create creative networking environments. And whether that's a speed networking session, whether that's an all-event bowling event or something of that nature, DCS this year will be hosted at the Red Rock Resort and Casino. And so we're putting the finalizing touches on that. When this comes out, expect to see some announcements within just a few days of that, if it hasn't already happened. And it's an exciting process, Adam. It's definitely something where I hope to honor the uniqueness that the Hammonds and RMS was able to create over time. And while at the same time bringing a new flavor with the help of some of my partners into that environment. And so that's really my daily focus these days is absorbing as much of that as possible while trying to apply as much of my knowledge of the space and knowledge of what's an interesting topic in order to ensure that the education is on par with those networking experiences.
So what I heard was that DCS is back for 2022. It's going to be happening at the Red Rocks in September. We're going to get final information. We can start booking our exhibit booths. We can start booking our attendance. That's what I heard. I heard the excitement.
You did hear that. You got the official scoop, Adam. So I'm happy to be able to provide that to you. And we will be releasing exhibit booths first, and then within a day or so, general admissions and sponsorship opportunities should pop up.
Awesome. Well, I'm very much looking forward to that. I've been.
Can I do like a click on the link? Can I do like?
Oh yeah, you can. We're going to put the link below. So debtconnectionsymposium.com. Yeah, we're going to put the link below in the description, both here on LinkedIn and YouTube. Make sure that people know where to find that.
And so, like and subscribe for you now? Is that the plug? Do I do that now or is that
Oh,
later?
you can do that one later. We
What?
can do that one
Okay.
on stage later because we're going to break 2,500 followers on Receivables Info's LinkedIn. I'm hoping over this weekend, I would
No
say
doubt.
early next week at the latest, which would make us, I think, the second largest distribution on that channel for this industry, which is fantastic considering we've only been around like 2 years.
It's very exciting.
I'm excited to have an opportunity to be at these shows. So to go to, this is actually going to be my first CRS. I went back and was going through my notes. I have not actually been to a CRS previously. So I'm really looking forward to checking that out this year and getting a chance to engage in that process. DCS we have done before because Judy had partnered with me and Jeremiah over at DRN to allow us to do a charity poker tournament a few years ago, back when the show was in, I want to say, Austin, so that we could raise money for the Special Forces charity. So maybe we'll see opportunities like that again next year.
So played in that. I think I played in that tournament.
You did play in that tournament. I got knocked out early on that one. I got aggressive. But so much more that we could be working on, like financial literacy, and we could be raising money for such great causes because this is a very very generous and humble industry. So I'd like to do more of that kind of stuff into the future. But for right now, I'm very excited that we're going to be able to get DCS into our marketing budget for this year, get out there, interact there. That's always been a great show, and really looking forward to learning more about CRS. Any insights for those of us that are going to CRS this year that we should have in the back of our minds as we're packing up and getting ready to go?
The best advice I have for this is that, for me, Adam, having attended these shows, and it really comes down to, I think we're so uniquely poised in this post-corona era. And I realize I say post-corona, don't flog me over it. But as things have calmed down, I would suggest that the opportunity at these conferences to have a meaningful personal relationship, a conversation. We truly try to drive these conversations, be it through creative giveaways, our key box offerings in the exhibit hall for the main receptions and things like that. But from an advice piece, is that you're never going to find another show out there where you have a 50% chance, if you're standing next to a person, of that person being from an originating financial institution. And so my best advice is attend the conference and absorb the things that make it truly different. The roundtables are one of my favorite things. And this is something that I've seen at shows. It comes and goes, but it's been at CRS. It's one of the most talked about and most driven sessions, and it allows you to get content from not just banks and other vendors within the space, but it allows that free form discussion that I think is not present when you're dealing with kind of one-to-one meetings. The second piece of advice is absorb as much as you can, attend the events, make sure you're down there during the attendance hours, make sure you're visiting these exhibitors, because we are very selective about who attends and the newest technologies and those that have been in the space that provide next level cutting edge service. And like I said, this is not a conference that has 1,000 exhibitors. But for the secondary debt market, for all of the trade shows I have attended over the last 20 years, this is the one where I have found the most unexpected opportunities.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take that with me as I'm headed out to Las Vegas later this month, and attending my first CRS show. So I'm really looking forward to it. I've heard great things and looking forward to engaging. And then DCS being back, I mean, what a great opportunity that is for so many different groups that are looking, to participate. I know a lot of people have been asking about it as we've been on the marketing side, and what other big events are coming up this year. So really excited to have that.
So
as well.
I'm super excited about DCS, and that, let me touch just real quick. I've got two partners that I'd be remiss in not mentioning in this new endeavor. Dara Tarkowski, who many know, affiliated with Actuate Law, as well as Mr. Randy Rivera, affiliated with Keen Advisors. I have brought them both on as partners, creative partners, both friends and business associates in the space that I've known for a tremendous long period of time. And our goal here is to really go into these markets. As you know, Randy sits on the board of a fintech kind of nonprofit association. I don't need to speak about Dara's accolades within the space, but we really hope to solidify the change in technology. And I hate using hot button words, as you know, like artificial intelligence and things like that, because there's a truth that's a little bit deeper than that. And while I think a lot of these conferences and a lot of the content that's being generated speaks about these hot button words and draws them in, as anyone that's seen a panel I've spoken on, or my new partners have spoken on, you know that we really want to drill down into the applicability of this in the space. And so by developing tracks for DCS, it's one of our main focuses that really identify things that are relevant, and whether that's, you know, real technology within this space, or tracks that allow you to focus more operationally versus, in the past, I know we've had skip tracks or DSC tracks or things like that. I think that there's a whole world of emerging technology that's out there, especially in the last 5 years, that DCS is really going to try to focus in on as a means to ensure that it's not just you know, the originating creditors that get a value add, but also everyone else that's in the space, be it a vendor, be it a law firm, an agency, a debt buyer. And understanding that these trade shows are the opportunity for the newest and the best to really show off what they do, because that's where the opportunity comes from. It's not just always that next deal you buy or the next placement that comes in there, but it's just the next client and the next step down that path of understanding the interconnectedness of all these companies in the space.
Well, I am very much looking forward to participating in these shows. I really appreciate you coming on, having a chat with me today, giving me
Thanks
the
for
scoop
having
that
me.
DCS 2022 is happening in September in Las Vegas. So I'm going to go book some tickets as soon as I have some dates.
I appreciate that. I appreciate all the support, and you know, everyone knows how to get a hold of me. I'm sure it'll be somewhere in the description.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Mark and I will be answering any questions that you have below. Feel free to leave comments both here on YouTube and LinkedIn. We'll be responding to those comments or questions as we go forward. If you have any additional topics that you'd like to see Mark and I discuss, or items that you just want to hear about, put those in the description below, and we'll see if we can't get Mark back on here again to talk about some industry specific items. Until then, though, Mark, I will see you at CRS.
Thanks for having me, Adam. I appreciate it.
We'll see you soon.
See ya.